Coming out okay? All right. I'm wearing this expensive headset and I can't hear myself, so I always think I'm muted. Okay, so the title is Making Web Apps, and in parentheses, I say with zero coding skills, or maybe just a little coding skills. We'll see. What I'm going to do, my plan for today is I'm going to start off kind of motivating the idea of why do we want to use games and why games are cool. Um, and then the next step would be how I coded a certain game I call a Bank Hero, which I used. I'll show you that and sort of show you how I made it. And then there's going to be the issue of deploying it to the web. And then, of course, really the magic, because I don't expect most people who've never coded before to actually code a game. How to use AI to do it, and I actually this last part I just added on literally this morning. I'm like, why should I do an econ game since most people here are not going to be doing econ? What if we do something else? And then I basically used Microsoft Copilot, like literally in 10 minutes to make a game. But we'll go through that. All right, so the stuff at the beginning. Let me show you the game I made. Well, before I show you the game I made, let me show you what I call old school program. Can you guys see that? Can you see that on the, I think just everything I'm dragging into that window. So this is a coding editor. I wrote this game actually almost 3 years ago during a winter break on the drive to California. And basically it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. And the result of that was from that was this old school thing. Can you guys see the text? Can you see the text there? Okay, because I show my students this and they always say, oh, it's like Oregon Trail, because it's a text-based game. So by the way, when I say making games, what I had in mind was text-based games. You can make graphical games. They're going to be a little more complicated. So I made a text-based game. Now, what this is this is actually an executable file. The programming language I used is a language called Python, which is sort of a hot program that programming language that everyone wants to learn. But I use that to make an executable file to make this game. And let me just run you through the basics of this game. And the background is I teach economics, and I teach mainly macroeconomics. And the problem with macroeconomics is you're teaching about how an entire country operates. That's very different from microeconomics, because in microeconomics, you're talking about consumers, you're talking about businesses, you're talking about monopolies, you're talking about game theory. Microeconomics is in a way very intuitive because everyone knows what it's like to be a consumer. And microeconomics is really easy to gamify because they can say, pretend you're running this business, or pretend you have a monopoly, or pretend you're the government doing this and that. Macro is much more abstract. And so I was sort of looking for a way to gamify macroeconomics. And I saw that in macroeconomics, there's a section on money and banking, because actually the banking sector really affects really everything in the economy. That's how banks essentially lend money, and that money can be used obviously for consumer purchases, but in economics, it could also be used for businesses to buy important machines that they need for their businesses to run. So the banking system plays a very key role here. So I wanted to sort of gamify that. And so as part of teaching how banks operate, so let me do this. I'm trying to, okay, there's a wall of text. That's just instructions. If you pay attention to my class, you should know. So what I usually do is I give a little lecture on what all these things are. And so the idea here is you are running a bank. You are a bank manager. I used to call the game Bank Manager, but I thought that was kind of boring, so I called it Bank Hero. So, but you are a manager of a bank, and I look at the balance sheet of this bank, and if you look, it says, okay, people deposit money into a bank, right? And so in this example, they've deposited $10,000 into a bank, and so the bank has that on what's called reserves. In addition, I started this bank off with, say, past earnings, like an extra $2,000. So this bank is holding on to the $10,000 of depositor money, in addition to $2,000 of the bank's own money. which is sometimes which all adds up to the amount of bank assets. Okay, and so bank assets is just the value that the bank holds, and then bank capital could be thought of as the bank's net worth. And the idea is that when people deposit money into a bank, the bank doesn't own that money. They actually owe that money back to depositors whenever depositors want it. So deposits are really a liability of the bank. And so bank capital is net worth. And so their net worth is really their total assets minus what the deposits are. Okay, so now how do we make money here? We make money by lending out money, right? So in this game, I would say sort of, let's lend money. And then I got a little story here on the bottom. It says, Craig has a credit score of 499 and wants to borrow $3,000 for 1 quarter at 21% annualized interest. And then the question is, do you want to offer this person a loan? What do you guys think? I'll let some chat people be involved here. Anyone say, oh, should we give Craig a loan? His credit score is 499. What do you guys think? No, no. Anyone else? Anyone? Any fans of Craig? So let me. So now I have to say, all right. So I'm going to say no, and I'm going to sort of see if there's anybody else out. Okay, Prasant has a credit score of 684. He wants to borrow 2,900 for 3 quarters at 11% interest. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, it's decent. We're not going to make a killing off of it, but we will probably get our money back. So now when I hit enter, I'm going to make this loan. Now I'm going to look at my account again, and we'll see what happened, actually. Notice the amount of deposits has not changed. On record, depositors still believe their money is there at the bank, right? And what makes banks interesting is that a lot of times, or most of the times, all that money actually is not there. Why? Because they just lent it out. And so if you look at this, what are called the bank reserves have declined. And instead now it's turned into a $2,900 loan. Okay. Now, so we've gotten rid of some of our money. We have a loan. Notice our assets are still the same. Our assets are still the same. And that is because this loan is really a loan contract. That loan contract has value because, and banks do this all the time. If this bank ever needed money, like in the real world, they could actually sell this loan off, right? So this loan actually has market value. So that's why the assets have not declined. As long as that loan is paid off, their assets won't decline. Of course, now that's what brings excitement into this game. There's no guarantee the loan will be paid off, right? So let me keep going here. Let's see. Let me make one more loan. Leon. Okay. All right. So no, let's not do that. Sorry, Leon. That was my old roommate. These are not real credit scores, but these are people who I went to grad school with. Oh my God. I know Christy, and her credit score is much better than that. Let's find one other person. By the way, there's a limited number of applicants. I think it's 20 or so. Monica looks decent. Again, low interest. So notice there's the trade-off between sort of a safe loan but lower interest versus a riskier person, but you stand to earn more money. So that's the game. And so in practice, I have students playing. In the past, I've had them have their laptops and they'd be playing in teams against each other. And I would have them look at how much, I would always be posting who had, I mean, the goal, what I tell my students is the winner is the people who finish with the highest capital, the highest earnings off of this. And they're sort of competing. And I see some students will take a high risk strategy. So here, I'm gonna make a loan. Okay, so look at the T account again. And then we could see that, all right, so our reserves are dwindling. We're running out of money to lend out. But you can keep pushing that. There's other options I want to show you. If you want to completely avoid risk, there's the ability to buy what are called bonds. These are government bonds, and typically government bonds are considered risk-free. All right. And this is some technical jargon that students are supposed to understand, but this roughly correlates to, I think, a 4% rate of return. And here you say, how many would you like to buy? And so say I'm going to buy 8 bonds, 8 bonds purchased. And now I'm going to look back into my account. Okay. So here my reserves have really dwindled. There's actually a rule, actually there used to be a rule that banks are required to hold a certain percent of deposits. They're required to hold that in their vault. So here we're actually in violation of that and we'll pay a small penalty. Okay, and then once we're done with this round, and so this game goes by rounds. I think we do this in 12 rounds. We're going to close out the quarter, and we close out the quarter, and all right. And so several things happen in this game. By the end of the quarter, now what happens is, of course, consumers will withdraw money. Sometimes they'll also deposit money. And so every round in this game, there's a random element where some consumers will withdraw money or deposit money. And that's important because if you ever run into a situation where you don't have money to give back to the consumers, you get hit with a penalty. Banks are not supposed to allow that to happen. All right. So here it says, you've fallen below the reserve requirement by $882. This is legal, but to meet this requirement, you have automatically borrowed from another bank. And now we have to pay 2% interest on $475. Okay. So we're not done yet because now comes the fun part of earnings. Let's see. So if you look at here, since we went over our lending limit, we have to pay a penalty of basically $4. We made a profit off these risk-free bonds. We made a $40 profit off these risk-free bonds. Deposit. Okay, now here's the problem. We are paying depositors 3% interest to keep their money with us. So that is a source. So some students who play too conservatively, their profits end up dwindling because they are bleeding money by paying customers interest, right? So you always got to stay ahead of that by making loans. And there have been no repayments yet. And so now it's the next round. And so you go again. Let me just do this one more. Oh, we're actually running low on cash here. Let me just make one more. I'm going to close out the quarter. I want to see if somebody repays us here. No defaults. Going to close out this quarter again. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Prosanta has paid us back the principal of $2,900 plus $242 in interest, right? So we've made money off of this loan interest. We've also paid our consumers $77 to them, but we've come out ahead. And so now if we look at our T account, we could look at bank capital. Our net worth has climbed by $54. Okay. And so this is the game. Of course, this game could end badly. You could lose really suddenly because if somebody does not pay off the loan, that amount of the loan is subtracted from your capital. And of course, if your capital goes below zero, you are what's called insolvent. And what an insolvent bank is, it's a bank that cannot, they've lost so much money that they cannot pay off their depositors. So if this bank's assets fell below $10,000, that basically means some consumer is not getting their money back. And so that's an insolvent bank, and they tend to get shut down by the Federal Reserve. So I have students play this game. I have them typically work in twos, and it's really fun because you'll see them talking to each other and collaborating. But you'll also, because I like to post their current
19,
levels of capital.
22,
Oops, I can hear somebody talking. Hello. Anyways, so they're competing for the highest level of capital, and usually I give out like extra credit to the team with the highest level of capital. I give smaller extra credit to teams that finished above 2,000, which means they made like a profit, and then so on. Okay, so this is the old school game. Now, so that's the example of the game you can make, and well, let me just show you. I have a video because I don't want to tell you, well, students love it, but let me actually show you a video of my students here. Let me see. And let me know if you could hear the audio, because I think this audio is great. I got these students permission to even post this on YouTube. So here they are playing a game, and so I had a camera on them and a microphone so we can hear them talking. This is about a 6-minute clip, but I think it is very illustrative because it just shows the level of engagement there is in this game. Okay, so let me run it. Can you guys hear the audio? No? No audio? Let
I
me
can't
see.
hear
Hold
it.
on a sec. You can't hear it? All right, let me come back and check. Let me go to device settings. I need to turn on my computer device. Let me try. Oh man, that's too bad. Anybody know how to share the audio of a video? Please let me know. That would be really great. Is it video effects? No.
Make sure
Let me.
that your mic says that your computer audio is allowed.
My mic says, oh, it doesn't say anything. Is there anything
So I know typically when you first log in, it'll let you choose whether or not you want audio, computer audio. But you're right, I don't see it right now either. Yeah.
Okay.
Shane says maybe disconnect your headset. Maybe.
Oh, disconnect my head. All right, let me try that. Are you getting audio now? No. Last chance. What about that? Still now? Okay.
I don't hear anything.
All right. That's too bad. That's okay, but let me come back and let me turn off.
Hey, I think I might have just found it. Go to share content. At the very top, it says include computer sound.
Oh, go to what?
Hit share. And at the top, it says include computer sound, and there's a toggle switch.
Oh, okay. Let me stop sharing first. And then now I'm going to share. Oh, include. Oh, thank you so much. Let me see if I can get that on. Get this. Oh, wait. What's not letting me drag though? PowerPoint. Yes. Yeah, I see that button, but it's not letting me drag for some reason. Let me just try one last time. Any audio?
No.
No. Okay. All right. I will let me just really quickly walk you through what's going on here. That'll probably be better now that I've completely killed my. Okay. Can you hear me now? All right. Let me go back here. So here they are playing, and let's see, where are they? Oh, they have a lot of loans out. Okay. They decided to play. Okay, so they've just looked up all the loans that they've made and that are outstanding, and super ugly, but they have a lot of loans out. So they're playing very aggressively here. And I like it because they're let's see, they're debating about whether they should make another loan. Let me see. Let me skip forward here. All right. Now, that's a decent credit score. Obviously, they're going to take that. So let me go skip through ahead. Obviously, they're going to make. I don't know what they're talking about, but they're talking about a lot, probably because they have limited cash. And at this time right here, there are probably about 5 other groups of students who are also playing. And so they're sort of keeping track of how they can compete with others. So here they make the loan. Let's see what their standing looks like. Okay, they're low on cash. So look, they've basically maxed out how much they could lend. They could lend out more if they want. And now they're making a big payday. Look, they're happy because there were no defaults. They're making profit. So things are going good with them. And let's see what they do next. Christie comes in with a low credit score, asking for $3,000. And now they're kind of laughing, like, because they know that's a low score. Oh, there's some disagreement here. The girl on the right's like, no, we can't lend to her. Are you crazy? And the girl on the left's like, we got to gamble to win, man. 25% interest. She's like, I'm washing my hands of this. No way. Girl on the left's like, we got to do this. We got to win. We're not going to win unless we do this. And so these are the debates I love to see. And you see it come out a lot. You really see it come out in the different personalities of the people, like how much risk to take, whether to go for it or play it safe. And look, they're having this whole discussion there. And these are basically 2 students who just rarely talked in class, and just seeing them being able to talk about this and to take an abstract concept like banking and to actually convert it into something that they're sweating over. So let's see what they do here. Wow, they're really thinking about this one. And they should be, because this person's asking for $3,000. Their capital is $2,200. That means if they make a loan that's larger than that, they made it. They're at risk at going insolvent then if Christie cannot pay off this loan. So now here, they're like, what's going on? Oh shit, there it is. Oops, sorry, I swear. All right, default. Christie has defaulted. Let's see if they realize that Christie has defaulted. And the bank's capital is negative. Their bank is insolvent. And now she's like, oh my God. And she's like, oh, dude. Oh, and so there they are. They're upset. Now she talked directly to the camera. I don't know. She's like, if you were only a better teacher. I think that's literally what she said. And then this girl here, who is, I think, president of her class at Turner, she looks at the camera and gives her parting remarks. Here she goes. I don't know what she's complaining about either. But the point is that they were very much engaged in that. So much so, I've caught students, even caught students who were like cheating. Like after they went insolvent, there was a way to actually restart the game and do it again. So very good, exciting, very important, exciting stuff there. Okay. All right. So I'm a big fan of games. And that really excites people. And what makes me think about is, I've had students even write on eval that was like the best day of the class, like the most exciting, which may not be saying much because it's econ, but the question is, if I can do this for every chapter in the book, that would be great. So now, one challenge of this was it was not deployed on the web. And the way I was actually doing this was by creating this executable file. Now, the problem with that is most school computer systems, and even most people, individual computer systems, are very wary of executable files because they look like viruses, right? So I've had this game blocked off of school laptops. It can't be directly installed onto school computers. I found a workaround by putting it on a thumb drive, and I found that by running it directly off a thumb drive, it would work. But I started having these students with laptops issued by the Pearland Independent School District, and those laptops are super strict in terms of not just websites, but it could not run my game, even though the desktops at those same schools would run my game. So actually last semester, I did not get to play this with my students. So that means I needed to find a way to deploy it to the web, right? So the next step then is, how do I deploy it to the web? Let me see if I can pull that up. There is a website. Oh, no, it's the wrong one. Okay. So basically, there is a basic website called, let me see, just Python Anywhere. It's automatically going to my account, but it's called, let me just cut it and paste it into the chat here. One sec. All right. So by doing a bunch of stuff here, you could deploy the game onto the web, and therefore, unless schools are blacklisting this website, it should be able to get through. And by the way, even if they are restricting it, I've had legitimate economics websites that were blocked from school districts, and all it took was an email saying this is a legit website, and then they automatically approve it. Right. So as long as I could put it on the website, it works. But there was a problem for me, is that it is not so straightforward. Let me show you. It is, in terms of programming, it actually is a little bit different, the types of coding. But since we are going to bypass coding, you don't have to worry about that. But from the person who coded it, it was a huge pain in the butt because you can't just cut and paste code that was written for a console. The logic is completely different to websites. Like what you were seeing as those lines scrolling up and down, that's sort of a console. Web pages are basically, here's a page, and then here's a page. You enter data, and then it gives you another page. So you have to think in terms of collections of pages. But I did manage to get it done. Let me see where, let me just prove to you that my program works. So this is, so here's from the browser on Python Anywhere. And it basically, so here's econbox.pythonanywhere.com. By the way, don't, if you navigate there, it's a different game I put up. But here it's, it looks a little different. I have buttons, a lot more buttons, and the text looks much better. And then here, same stuff happens, etc. So it works, but it was definitely difficult translating that into what's called the Flask web framework. Okay, so all right. Now, next step is, I know a lot of you guys either have never programmed before, or it's been a long time since you programmed, or even if you have programmed, you haven't done web-based programming. So let me show you this. It's basically a video. Okay, so I was debating this morning what I was going to show you, and whether, are we going to play this game? Are we just am I going to show you the website? But I said that most of you guys, if anything, you all teach in different fields. So what could you guys do? So I want to show you what you guys can do. So let me pull up, I believe it's this video. Okay, so my preferred AI, so I'm sure you all heard of ChatGPT, but since we all work for Alvin, we have Microsoft. So there's something called Copilot, copilot.microsoft.com. If you just type in Copilot, it'll take you there. Here's Copilot, and this, last I checked, it runs on ChatGPT-4. It also can create images. It's very powerful, and we get it for free. And so here, this is a video of me doing it because I wasn't gutsy enough to actually try to create this live in front of a live audience. So I did this morning, and then I screen recorded it. And I did make mistakes, but this is very illustrative. So in the remaining time, you're going to watch me almost in real time prompt an AI to write a program that can be deployed on Python Anywhere using the Flask framework. It will give me files, and then I have to paste those files into certain spots on that website. Okay, so there is some you do got to get your hands dirty. But let's watch. And really, it really comes down to prompt writing. Okay, so I brainstormed what type of game outside of economics could I make, and I've been working with some people who do chemistry, so that thought came to my mind. So I came up with this prompt. So let's see. So here we are in real time here. All right, so I pasted in that prompt. So I came up with a chemistry game. And it's super simple, and I'm sure there are already examples around. But make a list of 10 commonly known compound molecules, which we'll call list Y. The molecules in list Y should comprise of 7 different elements. Then make a list, which we'll call list X, of the union of elements in the periodic table that are contained. Okay, so this sounds like super dry language, and it's because in my previous iteration, it was not doing what I wanted because my language was very loose. But basically, I want a game that'll say, water, and then it'll display, 7 different buttons, each representing an element. And then the player is supposed to click which elements comprise that molecule, right? That was my idea, but you give instructions and then the computer doesn't understand what you're talking about. So it helps to use sort of very dry language. Select the items in list Y such that list X has 8 items in it. Oh, this was interesting because the first time it went around, the list of possible elements was huge. And I'm like, that's too much. I just want students to choose. So this was an interesting, by the way, if anyone does chemistry out there, I haven't checked if the chemistry is wrong because I simply asked, I kind of assumed I could figure out what molecules are and what elements are in that molecule. I haven't actually checked it. But the interesting task is I said, I want these 10 molecules to only be made out of 8 elements because I don't want too many buttons. I don't want students to be overwhelmed. So it has to select. So I don't know how it did it, but it kind of did it. So that's the basic games. And then I say, now making the game is not enough because it has to be in a way that you can cut and paste this into your website, right? Then make a Python Flask web app. So now I'm telling it the language and the web framework, Python Flask. And by the way, it could be, JavaScript or whatever. I'm just not familiar with JavaScript. For each item in list Y, present the player. So now I'm just giving a detailed instruction of the way I want the game to go. But basically, I want it to say ammonia and then a bunch of checkboxes, and then people have to click what that is. Some other things I asked it to do. And I say, let the player know if they're wrong, if they were wrong or right, and then if they got it wrong, give them the correct answer. Right. So at the end, so now this is important. If you're doing this, show me the code for the Flask app. So the primary, sort of the central part of your program is called the Flask app. And then associated with that are something called template files. Basically, every time you go to a web page and you go to another web page, those are called templates. And then behind the scenes, there's something akin to a Flask app that's navigating you and deciding which page you should go to, right? So here I'm asking the AI to give me the Flask app and to give me the individual templates. And then I go a step further because I have a bunch of files on that website. I don't want to confuse. So I say, when naming each file, put a G2 underscore as a prefix to all those files. And that's just clear. So this is pretty small. And so, okay. So, wow, that's a very complex and creative request, right? And now it's identifying the molecule. Somebody tell me if it's wrong, but it's coming up with 10 compound molecules. And then here's the list of the elements which make up the totality of all those compound molecules. I have no idea if any of this is true. But if true, it's awesome. And then here now it's writing out the code. This is this is the main part called the Flask app. It took a while to make this. By the way, there's a little counter at the bottom of your Copilot because this is consuming computing resources. And of course, we all have a limited access a day. And so there's a little counter like every time you're doing something, you'll see the counter of how much resources you have get smaller and smaller. Okay, so this takes a while. And then, let's see. Okay, so by the way, let me rewind. So this right here, so this was the main file. And then now it's writing a template, which is, when you see this HTML, that refers to a web page. Now it's creating a separate web page. So this is going to have to be pasted into a separate location, right? So here, AI is doing this. Now, so after it was done, I asked it a question. And by the way, it is a question that I had a problem with my banking game, because when I first deployed my banking game onto the website, this is something you should know. It worked fine when I was testing it. And then I decided to see what would happen if somebody else logged in at the same time and tried to play the game. So I got like a cell phone and started playing. And then what actually happened is the two players were interfering with each other's games. They were essentially inside the same game, right? So I asked this a question: can this web app be played by multiple players simultaneously, to make sure? And then it promises me, yes, they can, and it has made the appropriate adjustments. Okay. Okay, so the code then is made. And so the next video is me pasting those files here. Okay. So there I am now, looking around, coming through. There we go. I'm just copying it. And then now here, I have to go to my site folder, enter a file name. You got to be careful about the file name. So here I pasted the file name in. By the way, that was a mistake I just made. I should have named it Flask_app, but I didn't want to name that because my banking game was named Flask_app. So I gave it a different name. As I find out, it has to be called Flask_app. And we'll see that later. So here I pasted it in. I should have saved it. So there we go. So there's the main Flask app. Now I'm clicking into the templates folder. Now these are the separate web pages that come up. Every time you type in information and then it gives you a response, it's taking you to another page. And so there's more code for this page. So then I just got to get the name of that thing, paste it in there, right? So I'm sort of fast forwarding. And then I got to, I think I already copied that, copy and paste. So here I am copying and pasting. I think there were 3 file folders. So I'm fast forwarding. I got 2 in. Let's see what it looks like. So you're literally just pasting it into that template folder. And by the way, if you want to know where things go, I've asked Copilot very specific questions. I said, I can't see errors here. It told me exactly where to go on the specific website to find the error log. Now, okay, it's all ready to go. Now you got to click reload. So it processes all that program, and then it sort of spins and processes. And then once you do that, you click, you're gonna go to the name of that website, and I'm gonna open it up. And here I am so excited because that took, oh geez, something went wrong. Okay, now first of all, that whole cutting and pasting, that took me, that was like 4 minutes of cutting and pasting. And then making the program itself was like 5 minutes. I made a mistake, and I realized the mistake was I forced the name change. But, oh, wait a minute. No, that's not it. Let's try it. So here, now, okay, so let me pause that for a second. So what I did is I copied this file and then renamed it Flask_app.py. And that basically fixed it. Let's go here, got to click reload, and then open it up. Hey, welcome to the molecule game, right? Okay, so this is not a this is not great. First of all, you may have noticed. Okay, so it's hard to see it, but you may have noticed immediately a problem with this game. Does anyone know? Anyone know what the problem? Let me fast forward to a different one. Let's see. There we go. This is okay. So the game's sort of running. Let me run it again. Next question. All right. Okay. What are the elements of the molecule CH4? It's like, gee. So what it did, because I just said giving molecules, it used the sort of scientific notation for these molecules as the name of the molecules, which of course is a very strong hint as to what is contained in there. So what's CH? I don't know what CH is, but so that is not what we wanted. So let's see if I can guess. Is it CNH that is in here? Submit answer. Correct. Okay. So the game works, except it's giving us the answer right up front because the computer just told us the scientific name of the molecule, right? So I'm walking you through sort of the debugging process, but this is the fun debugging process. So I simply say, let me see. So I tried to get it to replace. I don't have the prompt here, but I tried to get it to replace the scientific notation with the names, with the complete names, like calcium carbonate and things like that, or nitric acid. So now I'm giving it sort of specific instructions. All right, let me see what I'm asking it. In the game code, all right. In the game code you wrote for me, what do I have to change so the player does not see the text in parentheses? What I mean by parentheses is it was showing me in parentheses is the scientific notation. So I straight up just ask it, what changes should I make to the code? And it gives me this great answer. So now it simply says, take that and then change it to this. So I just find that line, replace it with this, and it'll erase, I don't know, it'll do something. It doesn't matter, right? So that's a great idea. And I would have done that, except let me show you another mistake that's going to happen. It's very unfortunate. So I move that off the screen and I'm getting ready to paste it here, and then now files. And then now I need to go back to the Copilot. And where is that thing? And so now I'm clicking around. Oh, I need to find out what file it's in. That's the editor. Now I can come back here. Oh, where did everything go? The downside of using the browser version of Copilot is they have like buttons everywhere. And so you know how you'll grab a page to try to move it? Well, they have buttons everywhere, and I accidentally clicked on a button that took me to the cooking assistant, right? So, and then I tried to backspace, but I could not find what is going on. I actually made that mistake like 3 times. I think there may be a desktop app which would hopefully be better than that, right? So, but I could just repeat that and get that answer. Here's the sort of alternate solution. The alternate solution I did, so here I'm just going over, is, and I experimented. If you just eyeball this, you could see I keep calling it scientific notation, but I don't know what they call it. But I take that, I see the scientific notation. So what I do is I'm just going to copy and paste that entire block of code, and I'm going to paste it into Copilot and say, hey, replace all that scientific notation with the English equivalent, right? That's basically what I told it to do. Let me see. Okay, define addiction. Okay, I think that's me pasting it. Okay, there. So I say, take this and then redo it, rewrite the code with the English names, and then boom, it gives me that. And then once I get that, I paste it back into there, into this original code. So that's another option. If you're not comfortable, by the way, if you're not comfortable with doing that, you just redo the entire prompt saying, make sure you're using the English word. The only reason why I avoided doing that is I was worried about consuming too much resources, right? And so once we have that there, I load it up and I start the game. And there we go. What are the elements in the molecule water? I hope I can get that. Submit it. Correct. Okay. So that was making granted a very simple game. What are the contexts? So it's a very simple game, and I'm sure there are, I don't know, there probably, I don't know much about chemistry, but there are probably other, apps you can use. What I like about this is that it's completely customizable. Like if you happen to have, again, I can't really make a chemistry example, but if you just did a lecture on a certain subset of these elements or something, you could tailor make a game exactly to that specification, right? And you could do that on the fly. And once you're comfortable, what I showed you, that was me making a program using AI for the first time. This is like the first time that's why I made all those mistakes. But now that I know how to do it, that's in half the time, which basically means in 5 minutes, as long as I could, and you'll get better at prompting, right? Because you'll use certain loose language and they'll misinterpret it. But potentially in the matter of minutes, you could deploy a game, custom made. And of course, the limits are just whatever you could think up of. And so let me pause there. And I have one last thing to do for anyone who's there. Any questions so far? Because I have one last favor because this game has not been fully tested yet. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of all sorts of stuff like sociology, government, things like that. It's really just, can you think it up? And if you want to go ahead, and by the way, everything I just did was free. Python everywhere. I was using the free version. Copilot, there is a pro version where by the way, the prompts on these things can be, I think it was 3,000 characters long, which is unfortunate because my banking game, I was tempted to take my whole banking game, paste it into Copilot, and then say, make this completely compatible with the Flask framework because it's actually not. There were flaws in the game, which I haven't shown. But that program was like 22,000 characters. But I'm sure the pro version could handle something like that, right? Okay. So whoever is here, I actually have never tested this game with multiple players. So again, this is yet another thing I'm gambling on, totally live. So let me get you, so the website, if you don't have it, and I want us all to start it at the same time. So if you're already there, don't start it yet. Okay, so it is called EconBox. Let me see if I can just paste that into the. This is just all right. I think my game is currently deployed. So everyone at the same time, go there now and try to play the game and let me know if you have any problems if it's not coming up. I think it'll ask you 10 questions. You can just cycle through them quickly. And what I'm concerned about, aside from it just totally not working, is it'll be if it's interfering with the answers you're giving. I don't know if you notice anything weird happening. And in this game, it may not be as easy to see if there's any interference. Oh, it only gave me 2 questions. Let me see. Oh no, 3. Oh no, it's working. Hydrogen peroxide. I think I'm on my 3rd question. If anyone is done, once somebody's done, just let me know and let me know that it's worked out. You should be able to go through, I think there's 10.
This is Esther. So I did all 10 and it was correct all 10 times.
Oh, wait, you mean you were never wrong?
And I teach chemistry.
Oh, okay. All right. So it was correct. It matched. I was like, because if you were like a sociologist and you were always correct, then I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. All right. So 0. Okay. All right. I ran through. Okay. So it looks like we were not, because I got a bunch wrong. So it looks like we were not. We each had separate instances, which is what I want. So that kind of worked. So any questions or comments or anything? Any ideas you guys have how you might want to do something? That's fine. But if anybody here has an idea and you want to do it, but if you're nervous about doing any of this stuff, now that I know how easy it is, I will totally help you out. Because it sounds super fun, and now I'm just thinking, what other games can relatively simple games can I come up with? So thank you very much. Thanks for coming, and feel free to stay behind if you wanted to talk to me about anything else. But I will see you guys around. Thank you.
Thank you so much.